Welcome to the Rise Above Show with Patricia Joe Grover, where we rise above our challenges and turn believers into achievers. Today, my guest is Rosalyn Kahn, and let me tell you a little bit about Rosalyn. She is a TEDx speaker, an author, humanitarian, speaker coach, and has her own show called Community of Unity, which interviews change makers, which have included the creator of Shark Tank, Ray Ybarra, 30-year expert in conspiracy theory, Ken Unger, filmmaker Tommy Bull, and Grammy Award-winning singer Shane. Her program will soon be shown on network TV station. Rosalyn is a recipient of the Presidential Medal of Service for her volunteer service. She trains people to deliver powerful presentations. Oh, wow. It's so wonderful to have you with us, Rosalyn.
Thank you so much for having me here, Patricia. It's great to see you too.
Yeah. So I have this new segment I've added to the show, and it's This Grammy Doesn't Knit, She Cliches. And I like to take old words or wisdom, adages, phrases that came from our past and really get to the root of them. So do you have one to share with us?
Well, I think it was one my mother told me when I didn't get into the college of my choice. And she says, oh, it doesn't matter. There are plenty other ones out there.
Oh, so there's other things out there. There's always more out there is what you're saying, basically.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. So and has that always been the way that you've thought through the years, that there's always something better around the corner?
Well, I think there's life always gives you options. It gives you opportunities. If you don't fail to succeed, you can always try again.
Oh, that's a great way to look at things. That's such a positive attitude. It does make sense. What other words may somebody use in today's society to get the same message across?
Well, I remember reading a book, and a kind of a sales and a marketing book, and people always think in the world of marketing that no is a negative. And if you take away the no of the 100 and you realize how many no's it goes ahead and takes to get to a yes, you just keep on saying, oh, thank you so much. That brings me one month closer. I really appreciate you sharing honestly, because I know exactly where I'm at and where I need to go. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's a great mindset. And we all know how much mindset has to do with everything. So thankful and happy to have you sharing here with me and playing with me in this segment. Now, I really want to get down to some questions that we have for you, Rosalyn. So, what was your big breakthrough?
Well, I think the biggest breakthrough for me was when I was a youngster. I had scoliosis as a youngster growing up, and I was put into a body cast. And I always like to say, if you put your hand around your waist, you go, that's not comfortable. I lived with that for several months as they were trying to put a brace on me, which was the theory back in the 70s and 80s of how you deal with scoliosis and looking in. And so I can share that perspective. So when I gave my talk about coming around the curve on my battle with scoliosis, which was one of 3 TED Talks, it was about, being that different person and having a sense of empathy and dealing with other people. And as long as you can see the world from other people's perspective, it all works out so much better.
That is so true. And having that empathy and emotional intelligence and how it is, it works with us in business and life in today's world.
No, it is so important. I remember a student going ahead and talking about the difference of empathy and sympathy. And she said empathy is putting yourself in someone else's shoes and seeing where they're coming from. And sympathy is, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. It's just that utter response of, sorry to hear that. Hope things look better for you. But the world really needs to have more empathy in our times today.
Oh, most certainly. Most certainly. So so going into this is some exciting stuff that I really want to find out about. Rosalyn, how did you get into the TEDx?
Well, that's a really great question. I've always been a person who's always into networking and taking life to the next level. So when I graduated college, the dean of the program said, well, there's this organization called American Society of Training and Development. If that's really where you want to go, that's where you should go. You couldn't be a TA? Well, go to this organization. And I met a gentleman in that organization because I'm always meeting people. His name was Tom Lenzo. And one day he sent me this invitation to this thing that's called TED. And I said, I don't know what that's all about. He said, well, just come out and see it. And I remember pulling out of the parking lot. He said, well, how'd you like it? He said, I loved it. I want to be part of that TEDx stage. He says, well, just come to this meeting and you can learn behind the scenes because we're always looking to plan for the next one. So the key to life is volunteering, putting yourself out there. And it was kind of through that volunteer experiencing, I saw what the whole arena was like. I saw a possibility. I helped them, get their event together. I was kind of on the operations side. I met someone who was a key speaker who became a mentor of mine, and we became friends for life. And the rest is just, one ball follows the other, and there it was.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So do you have any suggestions for people who are looking now to throw their hat into that arena?
Well, I think the first thing that one needs to say is you need to have a topic that's not like everybody already has done. We know that there's the legalization of pot, marijuana. We know that there's, the problems of the pandemic. But what are some new things that people haven't already gone ahead and thought of? What's a new angle, a new way of looking at things? And, one of the strategies is going ahead and looking on the TED Talks and look at what's being done. And another thing is just having a conversation with a coach who's been there before, who's known what works and what doesn't work. And one of the keys I would say, everyone likes to say, I can sell my business. I can sell that I'm a coach and a professional speaker. So I'll finish my talk and say, and my name is Rosalyn. And if you'd like to get some coaching, you can just go ahead and talk to me. And that's not really how it's all about. I'm doing a talk on a stage coming up about how it changed my life, and the doors and the opportunities that have opened have just been incredible. It's every event that I'm at. It's my name is Rosalyn. I'm a TEDx speaker, and people are like, wow, you've done that. It's just absolutely beautiful.
Yes, and that is wonderful. And just how has that been able to, and I'm going to dig a little deeper here because I know our viewers and listeners will want to know this. How has you taking that step and that leap into that arena, how has that moved your entire business and platform forward?
A lot of people want to know about that. So it opens up opportunities to go ahead and coach people. I've gone ahead and written books, and I've gotten these people in my books. I've recently been on a stage working with young people and helping them up their game to becoming international leaders. I recently spoke on an NGO stage that was really a huge pride and honor. I've been asked to be a keynote speaker in Indonesia, and there's possibly an opportunity to be on the UN platform coming up in May. And so the opportunities just keep unfolding, and it's just the next and the next and the next. So you never know where one door opens and another door closes, but you just keep your eyes open and you just keep shooting for the stars.
Oh, that's wonderful, wonderful tips and advice there. So we're going to just take a quick minute for a word from our sponsor, 133 Approved Funding, and then we'll be right back. And we're back with Rosalyn Kahn. And if you're just joining us, she has been a TEDx speaker and she's sharing some information with us here. So Rosalyn, what kind of advice can you share with our viewers and listeners on if they're interested in potentially becoming a TEDx speaker and want to pursue that path for their business?
Well, like one of the things I had mentioned in the last segment was that we wanted to go ahead and come up with a topic. Really important. You go to the TEDx talks and you look at the ones that are previously done. What's a particular angle that you can take on going ahead and approaching that? One of the keys to delivering a TED is having the right style and the format, and that goes ahead and comes with a coach who's been there before. And I've done that, trained a number of different speakers and things like that. And it's really understanding it's not a platform to sell. It's not a platform to go ahead and, make political statements or things like that. So they have very kind of stringent rules about what you can and you can't do. And so working with someone who's gone ahead and been there, I can help them out in learning those things that they need to do and how to get that application that goes ahead and gets accepted.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So, for our viewers and listeners, if you have any questions or comments for her, go ahead and leave them below for us here. And, I I really wanted to ask, another little question for you with that, and because I never have done an application for that. Is it true? I've heard that you can apply several times before you're accepted. And I don't know what the criteria is that they use, but can you give us some general ideas?
Yeah, well, I've heard. I mean, I've delivered several, and I was looking at doing another one, and I was talking to a person who is a good friend of mine. She said, well, Rosin, there are thousands of people who go ahead and apply, and it's you don't stick all your eggs in one basket. I was listening to a lady from a GSFE group. Her last name is Gilson, and she had been on the program. I always forget these names of these things. The show where the Survivor show, and she wanted for 8 years to go ahead and be on that Survivor show. And so you have the 8-year trek of going ahead and doing it. It's one of those things that you put on your wish list, and you just keep going out there. And it's not one application. Every group has their own format and their own information they're looking for. So it's sometimes having the right topic. It might be knowing the right person. And so there's a combination of things, but don't think that just one application is going to literally do it all for you.
Oh, great advice. Great advice. Thank you for that. Now, so on to my next question, Rosalind. So you do events. Can you tell us what your events are, and what your next one is and when it is?
It seems like every day there's another event in my world, as I was on the platform today saying you can't all put them all in one place. But the next event that I'm going to be doing is on Monday. There's a Insan park that teaches people English language skills. And one of my favorite classes I taught in school was learning English as a second language. And we're going to be talking about communication and listening. So they're having a show that's coming out this Sunday and Monday. That's the next show that's coming. At the end of next week, there's a TGA International, and it's recognizing women for their outstanding achievements from a lady in Australia that I'm going to be speaking on that platform. It's going to be talking to people about how the TED Talk had changed my life. There's an event on the 17th, and that is another platform that is for freelancers. And that platform, I'm going to be giving a speech on the lessons that we've learned about the pandemic, the 6 C's of effective communication. So it is, there's always other events that are out there and up and coming, and it just keeps going on and on.
Right.
And if people just follow me on my Facebook page and Instagram and all those other places, they can see what's happening next. It always has to do with something with communication.
Right, right. Now, and I know you and I were just earlier on another platform in a meeting with other speakers, and what I wanted, now you have my mind thinking, how many different topics and talks do you believe a speaker should have, especially if they're looking to do something like a TEDx?
Well, there's, I can say one thing and I can say another thing. There's a lady that I coached, and all her talks were basically generally on the same thing. She was in Israel. She had an experience that changed her life, and she was talking to Palestinians in Israel and others about how we could take that mindfulness and take us to the next level. And all of them were listening to the voice and sound. But I, as a TED speaker, each and every one of my speeches were entirely different. So the first speech I gave was Language Comes to Life, on how taking my students to the theater changed the way they learn English. The second one was called Coming Around the Curve, and how having scoliosis made me a more compassionate human being. And the third one was called Breaking Cultural Barriers, how everyone can make a difference. And so as you see, it's a combination of the both of them. You could have one talk, and the one talk could be it, or you could have a variation on a theme, and it's really establishing that relationship with the person who is the organizer for that, and making sure that goes ahead and fits into their sphere of what they're looking at.
Right, right. And now, for a little clarification, I know there are different locations, and like you said, different people putting on the TEDx events. And so it really depends on where you're doing it, right, too?
Right. I mean, there was recently an event that was out in the desert, and there was a friend of mine who was looking hard and heavy. He knew the person who was doing it, and the opportunity didn't go ahead and come up. I was looking at some opportunities. There's a big group out of Santa Barbara that has these events that they do. They've kind of changed the format of them. They've gone online. And so they've got talks that are coming every week. There's a platform that's out of San Diego, another group that's out of Santa Monica. TED just announced that they're going to be going back live in 2022. And for everyone who's part of that, for a small fee, you too can be with all these exciting people on the East Coast as they're launching off this event. So it's almost every city across the world. If you go to the TEDx.com, you can find out where the next one is. And oftentimes it's about a year out that they're planning that in advance. To know that there's a long time, they assign you to a coach that works with you specifically and helps you from there. And that's a little bit more about what's going on.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much, Rosalyn, for sharing your wisdom with us and your knowledge, and for speaking and serving with us here today. It's been so wonderful having you with us. So again, for our viewers and listeners, we have your website right below, but can you tell everybody what your website is so that if they're not seeing it, they can at least hear you telling them? And
Okay, so
yep, go ahead.
go ahead. So my website, if you see my name here underneath my speaking, it says Rosalyn Kahn. Everything about me is Rosalyn Kahn. So if you simply go to rosalynkahn.com, you'll find it. If you want that spelled phonetically and you're driving or something like that, it's R as in Robert, O as in Oscar, S as in Sam, A as in Albert, L as in Linda, Y as in Yellow, N as in Nancy. The last name is K as in Kangaroo, A as in Africa, H as in Henry, and N as in Nancy. It's rosalynkahn.com. And you can go to that and you can find it there.
Wonderful, wonderful. Rosalyn, what did you have for gifts for our viewers and listeners today?
Oh, thank you so much. I wanted to give to your listeners a 15-minute session of coaching with me so I can help them figure out what that next TED stage talk they want to give or a presentation. And I'm so much looking forward to speaking to them. Just mention your show, The Rise Above Show, Patricia Grover. If they go to my webpage, rosalynkahn.com, they'll find that information and we can help them out.
Wonderful. And thank you so much again, Rosalyn. For those of you who'd like to find out more about me and how I serve, you can go to patriciajogrover.com and text the word GOAL, GOAL, to 26786. And if you're outside the continental US, you use the number 1-866-926-4020. And if you're a person that doesn't text, you'll have a little link that you'll see in the video that's going to follow up along behind us. And you can use that link to get the gifts. Until next time, rise above the challenges that life brings your way and have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.